Welcome back to the 2.54 centimeter barrier. I'm your host, Ewan Graf, and I'm joined by Kevin Taelemans. We were stunned by Begun's resurrection, so today we are taking a look at his previous two feature films, Kaili Blues from 2015 and Long Day's Journey into Night from 2018. Kevin, Resurrection was your favorite film of 2025. Is there like a specific thing in his filmmaking, like an aspect that you were curious about, if it's reflected in his two first features as well, apart from the one that no one can see anymore because it's just a student film, but his two actual feature films, what were you looking for?
Well, obviously I was pretty, taken aback by that unbroken shot in Resurrection in its last, second to last chapter, I should say. And I was like, fuck, this is so good. Oh my God. Little did I know, unbroken shot is this guy's MO.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that. Hell, if anyone told me that sooner, I'd been on Begun way sooner than that. But
earlier.
unbroken shots.
I'll remove myself.
I'm gonna stop the recording now.
No.
We'll delay it till next week. Okay, bye.
I think what I really liked was just his visual storytelling and the way that he was just creating a mood. More than sort of a plot level, it's more a feeling that you tag along with, and especially in that chapter with the one take, you really are just in there the whole time. And I feel like he tried to do this in his first two movies, where we get a sort of feeling for a place through really just walking through it, and it's a bit more showy in the second film, Long Day's Journey into Night, and then Kaili Blues. It feels a bit more like he's just trying out stuff as well. For today's episode, the 2.54 barrier, centimeter barrier, where we take a look at international movies, I think we're kicking it off with his sort of first film, and then we go into the second one, kind of going through chronologically, and then maybe also at the end we can talk about if this changes our sort of reception of Resurrection as well, if it reshapes how we view him as a filmmaker. Kevin, you want to give us the synopsis for Kaili Blues?
While traveling the countryside to locate his nephew, a small-town doctor finds himself interacting with people from his past and future.
I think one thing that runs through Begun's movies is that he's really aspirational in the sort of stories that he tries to tell. They're so dreamlike. There's these overlaying commonalities that I think you wrote down between all of those films that we can mention later on. But there's just an emphasis on creating something sort of authentic, at least what he puts on screen. So even when we aren't in in the second movie, it's almost an hour long take. I don't know how long the one take is in this one. It's 30 minutes, 40
probably
minutes?
shorty, 30, 40, yeah, between that.
But a lot of the scenes beforehand are also, the camera is moving, but it's usually panning. And then once we are in the one take, it is moving around way more vigorously as well. But yeah, what did you think about this one?
A lot of people on Letterboxd are saying, "Oh, what a great feature debut!" But little do they know, apparently there's an actual debut student film of him that was screened only once in the China Independent Film Festival and actually never made into an official release. This is all from a Letterboxd post, literally the first popular review of that film called Tiger. And apparently it's a very popular lost film among cinephiles of China. So, that 70-minute debut film of his hasn't seen the light of day, it seems. And a lot of people are calling this one his debut film. It does really feel like a debut film, especially now within the context of his second and third film, because it's he's still trying things out. There are quite a few amateurish things in Kaili Blue, in the long take of Kaili Blues. For example, I don't really know what the directionality is with Kaili Blues. It's very clear that we got these two separate towns and this little river between, but it's where are we actually going? Why are we following this lady who takes a boat, goes across, buys the little fucking wind chime or whatever it was, and then crosses the river back to the hairdressers? And it's I thought the party or like the band playing was gonna be on the other side of the river.
Yeah.
But then she goes back to it, so I don't really know what that whole ordeal was about. Then you do got two amateurish things, like they are playing with exposure to simulate electricity blackouts, and it's like this is a bit cheap. Come on, guy. And then at one time, an actor takes off his shirt, or like takes on shirts, one of the two, and you can literally see his whole mic setup that is attached to his pants, and it's like, I don't know if that was the purpose, but hey, it's in there. So there are a few amateurish things in there, and I gotta say, this also very much feels like a film festival film. I said that a few times in the past to describe movies that play at a film festival. For example, like April, the abortion movie, is like the most film festival film I've ever seen in my life. This is not that deep in that category, but it's still up there in terms of like the tier ranking. If I would do that, it's a bit slow, a bit meandering. For example, the guy that goes to his nephew, he really isn't looking for him at all. And I get we're playing with time and perception, with past and the present, but it is not clear for me at all. In the second movie, like Long Day's Journey Tonight, I told you this. The way that I described Resurrection with the Knives Out reference of, I am not really getting these all, but I'm really, like, this is all compelling stuff. With the second one, with Long Day's Journey Tonight, I have that feeling. With Resurrection, I have that feeling, but it's a bit more commercial and clear for me. But with Kaili Blue, it really is a miss for me, unfortunately.
I think you can really feel his influences a lot, and
yeah, like the true line, yeah, for sure.
Because Resurrection Den is such a collection of a multitude of multitude of different sort of, because it's literally like going through different time periods in film, and then here you can feel like the sort of Tarkovsky influence that I think he's also brought up in interviews. There was also on Criterion, where both of these, or all three of his movies, are like currently streaming, where I got to see them as well. There's also an interview attached where he talks a bit more about like the production of this. From there, I know that he did 3 takes of the one take, and they went with the second one, because in the first one, I think there was something that didn't go wrong. In the third one, no, in the first one, I think he sang not too well, and the second one was
oh my God,
was decent, but they had to place their own like actors into like their own production into the audience, because people weren't showing up again by the third time. There weren't that many people. I think so it was like somewhere in between where they found that. And I think like he also was talking about that he didn't want to stitch anything together, although there were like a couple of moments where he could have done that. I don't know what the like the trueness of like not stitching stuff together, like what's the benefit for that authenticity? Because I think those moments where it does stand out a bit, like there's a moment where with the girl who goes over, like she's also in the beginning, right, trying to get a ride, like she's the entry to that whole one take sequence, and she just like straight up looks at the camera, and I felt so looked at. I was like, oh my God. I was like jolting back. I was like, oh, that was a big mistake there. Like I don't know, she wasn't supposed to be looking at the camera there.
There's also a grandma in the audience when they're singing, and they're panning to the hairdresser and the woman, and you can see between their shoulder like a grandma that also just straight up looks at the camera, and Bijan must have been like, fuck, don't look at the camera, grandma.
What he tried to do is like he put black tape around it, and he was shooting all of this on a Canon 5D, so he tried to like hide it so it doesn't look like a camera, so people aren't suspicious, but then also being inconspicuous could be like make you have a double take even more. I think it's also kind of funny where like a pan up like this, or like go up and then come back down, as if it's like some epic conclusion shot to like the singing. It's to the
sky, yeah.
It's not. It doesn't play out as smooth as I think as he envisioned it, and he also talked about that like he thinks that singing moment is the center point of the movie. And I just think it was like incredibly understated and underwhelming, if that's supposed to be like an emotional sort of resonance, because he like early in the movie refuses to sing when they try to force him to sing, I think.
Yeah.
like he also has like there's karaoke or singing in all of the 3 movies that we've seen of his right so far, and this one left the least bit of impact, even though it's the same character that I think in Long Day's Journey into Night as like the in white suit drug like the crime boss. He's singing again. I think that was a more captivating experience. But like I think you're in the same wavelength as me, that it feels like it's a step up for each movie, and it's just kind of crazy how much he peaked with Resurrection, where I feel like I don't know how if even you can surpass something like this, and it might be. It feels a bit rude to say, but it might be all he has to offer, because it feels like it's a different iteration of a similar thing that he's doing. It doesn't feel like he is a filmmaker who has like a vast like possibility of things that he's interested in.
Yeah.
And makes me honestly, even though I really, really loved Resurrection, it makes me a bit less excited for what he does next, because I feel like that was like all he had in store.
Yeah. You know what? I don't think so, because because I've seen 3 films of his now, and each film has been an improvement. I feel the same about Lucas Dont. We've talked about him early before the recording, and his debut Girl was like solid stuff, and then Close, you're like, oh shit, he's so close, like no pun intended, but like he's so close to just putting an absolute magnum opus out there. And for me, Close wasn't just there with a 5 out of 5, but I feel like I can see this guy going up and up and up from here.
Yeah.
Which is very excited with Coward in Cannes. And I feel the same with Bijan. It's like Kaili Blues, solid. Wasn't the best. Long Day's Journey into Night, like, oh shit. And then Resurrection. And this guy has a bit of like the same thing with Nolan and the way he plays with time. Bijan also has that thing of playing with time, but a bit more with reality, instead of going back and forward of what is actually real, what is actually fake or envisioned, like imaginative. I feel like that's the realm where Bijan can really operate and will find new ways and stories to uncover for him. So I don't think he's done.
Yeah, you said earlier that it does feel a lot like a festival movie, and that was one of my notes as well. But I think it's like it has those festival-itis sort of symptoms, but then it pairs it with a lot of like really imaginative cinematography and framing. At least in, I think, the edited part for me, I really liked that. And then the sort of one take was a bit more gimmicky and underwhelming to me. But this opened at a Swiss Film Festival in Locarno, which over the last couple of years, and I guess in the last decade, since it's premiered in 2015, has become some kind of synonymous for this really slow, artsy filmmaking of films that will never get an actual release, that only play there. And exactly that, like, very slow cinema. That, like, it's one of the reasons why I try to, when I started to get into this, like in the first years after COVID, I did go to the festival, I did try to go see a film, and at one point I had like more time to spend at the festival, but I just left because I was so disappointed by the films that they were showing. I felt like the quality here was just artsy, slow, and holding on a moment with no kinetic energy going anywhere and no emotional energy going anywhere. And I think that's not the case with Kaili Blues. It's not like it's the most focused, like well-made film.
Yeah.
But a lot of moments that are like slower-ish, where we just follow something, still had me sort of intrigued, and I was still like, my attention was still fully there. And I like, honestly, I struggled a bit more with Long Day's Journey into Night.
Really?
I think that was a more beautiful movie, but it felt to me a bit more like it tried a bit more, but succeeded a bit less. And like compared to like Kaili Blues. So it's one of the reasons why I didn't rate it, because you asked me for my rating just before we started recording. And for me, honestly, I have both of his movies like sort of at the same rating, at like a 7 out of 10, even for
Really?
Long Day's Journey into Night. And I know that's a bit, probably not the popular opinion, because I think his Long Day's Journey into Night is really what catapulted him into, since then, being like at the forefront of successful Chinese art house movies. I've seen like multiple articles that like mention name him as like the voice of the future of like a Chinese independent, not independent, but like That
With
sort
his
of
sophomore film or Resurrection?
with his sophomore film.
Yeah.
No clue actually about Resurrection, but like when I went into Cannes last year, there was so much excitement for this film, and Long Day's Journey into Night did play at the Enceinte de Regard in Cannes, and I believe he won like not a prize in that category, but he like won something about future prospect or something like upcoming filmmaker.
Okay.
Actually don't 100% know for which movie it was. I thought it was for Long Day's Journey into Night, but
I know for Resurrection he won the Grand Prix.
yeah,
or like
yeah.
the second, yeah.
And people were saying, weren't mentioning as example, like just an accident, but they were saying like it's either sentimental value or Resurrection who should win the Palme d'Or, and neither of them ended up winning. One of the things that he mentions in that interview as well, that's on Criterion, is that instead of going to film school, he was saying there was like ways to be a certain type of artist. There were like ways where you can study, where you can work as that. As a director, there's really no place in like his own place of Kaili to become that. So his mom was like saying like, hey, if you aren't successful by 28, you should probably quit it. And I think they sort of agreed on that. And she suggested, hey, you should go study film in a film school in like Beijing. And he was like, no, you don't learn to make movies at like you don't learn to make films at film school. You just make one. And that's what he did. And it like I think that's why like a debut feature is usually something that needs to prove something for a future concept down the line, right? But you usually have it a bit more of a refined than what he does here. But you can still see sort of the vision that he has, and obviously he lived up to that, especially with Resurrection now. But I think like especially in a rural area where he doesn't have that access, it's like a commendable approach to filmmaking is just to make one to get the experience, right?
And the thing is, with the first half of Kaili Blues, the edited part, I guess if we're gonna call it that, like I'm actually right there with him. I'm very intrigued. But it's just with the second half, with the unbroken shot part. You know what movie I oftentimes had to remind me of? I forgot the title, but you hate this trilogy of documentaries that are from China.
Yeah, Spring.
But there's like this one really thrilling sequence in that documentary that we watched, where they're like this truck along this narrow ridge, and I'm like, fuck my life, I would never drive here. Like that is this like feeling that I had a bit with Kaili Blues in the unbroken shot. Like, oh hey, this is a really interesting part, but then it's just like there are parts that I'm just not into at all. And I feel like that's sort of the same DNA. But then his second film, my God, Long Day's Journey into Night, that's where I really, really started to get him. And it's like, yeah, I gave Kaili Blues, and like, because you said your rating already, I gave Kaili Blues a 6 out of 10. It's like, damn, Long Day's Journey into Night, I gave it an 8 out of 10. And fucking Resurrection, I gave it 10 out of 10. So that's like a legit 2-point bump every time.
12 out of 10 incoming in like 2030 or something like that.
Actually, he has said in interviews as well that its next film won't take like 7 years as a Resurrection. Like it might just take 2, maybe 3. So yeah, exciting stuff for the future.
It's funny. It's literally like what it says in the Letterboxd logline. Is
but I've actually like, not ready there. But yeah,
it says in an interview in 2025 is like the 7-year wait since Long Day's Journey into Night won't be repeated, at his next feature can be expected in 2 years. So maybe at the 2027 Cannes Film Festival, you can
who knows,
come see it with me. Yeah, I gave you my rating, so let's just transition over to Long Day's Journey into Night and maybe have a look at some overarching things that we can notice in all of his films, like the stuff that we haven't touched on. But in this one, it's about a man who goes back to Gyozu, found the tracks of a mysterious... Wait, this is another synopsis went. It's just not in proper English. But a man goes back to Gyozu where he finds the tracks of a mysterious woman. He recalls the summer he spent with her 20 years ago. Nice and vague, and I think the ambitious part about this one is, what I didn't know, is that the 58 minute long one take is also filmed in 3D, and you have it on Blu-ray, right? And you
Yes, right here.
actually have the ability to, you could have seen this in Blu-ray as well if you wanted to. But I was just like, before we even get into it, like, do you see a reason why that like that one take needs to be in 3D?
What I think it is because so our protagonist falls asleep at a theater that he's waiting for the karaoke bar to open to potentially see the woman that he spent the time with. And I think it's like this subconscious thing of, if you have it in 3D, you have this reality, and like it's a forefront background sort type of thing. It's like, what is real, what is fake, what is he actually what is he actually remembering, and what is potentially just a gap that your mind is filling in with some info of what makes sense of what might have happened in that situation. I think that's where the 3D part does help. We both have not had that experience, so it suffices to say that maybe with that experience of the 3D, of perhaps also knowing and recognizing what would be like shoved in front of us and what would be put in the background, because in 3D that always changes.
Maybe it's the one scene where like the horse freaks out and oranges or whatever, or apples or whatever it throws out.
Yeah.
And it's like in 3D, it's just like 17 apples thrown in your face.
But can I just say one thing? Worst ping pong player I have ever seen. Brother, that kid could not, like the way he, and I know Chinese ping pong players have like this extreme grip, but that grip of him, I was just like, brother, you are not winning any points like this. I'm not even joking.
Kevin out here grip watching a child, or you mean the adult or the child?
Well, the child. We never see the adult play ping pong.
Well, I think he serves a couple of times. I don't know if we.
But we don't see that. Like the camera stays on the kid, and he's like
later on.
A fly serve.
Start on him. I don't know.
I don't think so.
Like it gives me a bit of anxiety watching someone in a one take like play a sport, because I know it's like so easily by people like you broken apart. It's like, oh, this doesn't make any sense. And with the billiard, is especially with like them placing the like white ball to hit it next, I was like, is there someone like grabbing it and putting it into a nice place every time? Because I can't imagine that they can rely on like the ball landing in a place where they can shoot it like nicely next.
At one point, the ping pong ball like sort of skids away from the edge of the table, and I just knew there was someone there with a ping pong ball. Like, here, take this one. I just knew it.
Yeah.
But yeah, the commonalities between these movies, maybe even Resurrection included. Karaoke, we've talked about that. The unbroken shot, we've talked about that. A prolonged title card drop. So in Kaili Blue, I feel like the title drops 30 minutes into the film. With Long Day's Journey into Night, it's 1 hour and 12 minutes. I do think that's the longest, like the most prolonged title card drop I've seen. I have not seen Apocalypse Now. Apparently in the theatrical cut of Apocalypse Now, it only drops 2 hours in. But Drive My Car and some of these other movies that have a 40-minute title card drop, like those are the ones that I knew the most about. But this takes the record for the one that I've seen.
Yeah.
And like revealing your title card at the end doesn't count. Like that's the fucking end title credit. So yeah, I was really impressed. Like, oh damn! And to then go into your one take. Again, that's a decision that a like debut filmmaker wouldn't make. Like that is a decision that you make when you've got some experience under your belt.
I mean, we forgot to mention it, but in Kaili Blues, it also opens with like a longer quote, something that is similar to Resurrection, and that doesn't happen in a second film here, which I found interesting because it's like one of the things that we talked about with Resurrection, to get people to like sort of pay attention to your story, because in Cannes a lot of people walked out, and Ghent a bunch of people walked out during Resurrection, and I think this one just like goes straight in with beautiful visuals and sort of like grabs you and really doesn't let go for a while. And then I think the title card sort of does make sense, because it's like to me, it's like it's a title that sort of can be interpreted in the way of like Long Day's Journey into Night. The night is like the dreaming, but also the movie, and sort of this different sort of reality. Like A Long Day's Journey is like almost the night, the life that into the night is where you reimagine what you've experienced before. So a lot of it does make sense in how he structurally goes about this movie, but yeah, dreaming, right, and all three of them as well.
Dreaming, trains, romance. How about pool?
Pool.
I don't think there's any pool in Resurrection. Maybe a tiny bit when they enter the bar in that unbroken shot in Resurrection, but I don't think beside that there's any pool in Resurrection. Really more into his first two films. And by the way, karaoke and pool are a huge part of the Chinese culture. Especially now in snooker. I know you don't watch snooker. You'd probably think it's the most boring shit of ever.
I've watched snooker. I've had like the sports program on at some point, and that's on all the time. Snookers is like, it feels like that's like on so often.
Yeah. Sure. I totally believe you. But like pool and snooker is like a huge part of the Chinese culture. Like the amount of Chinese players that are going into the pro circuit of snooker, and even I believe because in China, like you are really assigned a sport from a very early age to hopefully develop as much as possible within that sport. And recently, snooker and pool have like actually become an item in schools and classes, which is quite surprising. And I even saw a clip from Stephen He, the emotional damage YouTuber, of like an Asian when playing pool when there's money on the line. Like they're very bad at pool. All of a sudden there's money, and then like their DNA kicks in or something. It's like, oh my god, now I'm the best at it when there's money on the line, which I found quite funny. I don't know what the message of this movie is though, because obviously you do have these two stories, one in the actual reality or what he's remembering, and then the sort of movie version of things. And there are a lot of beats that are similar, whether it's the finding of the fruit, whether it's the karaoke part itself, and then also the story with Wildcat. It's a bit like much. I mean, it's a very dense movie.
The most palpable thing is that in like the real life version, Dang Wai's character, who is, I believe, in the non-dream version, she's Wan Chi Quen, gets an abortion, thinks it's a kid, it's a boy that she had, and in the dream version, he does meet the boy, which I thought was implied, right, with the ping pong, that would be the kid that he's interacting with. That would be.
I don't think that's the kid.
Isn't it like? Doesn't it say like he's a 12-year-old kid, and the time jump is around 12 years where we jump ahead?
I thought in the time jump it's that Wildcat. It's the one that got killed by the mob boss.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if it's like this or that, because then it goes around like he says he's 12, and it's like no shot, you're 12. And
yeah,
so
but like, it's also since the last time that he saw him, so like it was a long while ago. Kids. So in his head, yeah.
I feel like maybe that's just me not paying close enough attention to sort of what it is.
Maybe me either as well.
It's also something that like I think it's fine to like miss certain beats in a movie if it's emotionally resonating, and I think this movie for me doesn't really resonate emotionally that much. It felt like quite vague and beautiful to look at, but like overall the story didn't really grab me. I think that's why like I ended up a bit lower than you on the rating as well. I was still impressed by the filmmaking and some of the performances too, but
like this movie invites you for rewatches. I feel like I can easily see myself rewatching Long Day's Journey into Night in a few years. Also, kind of an ironic rewatch that would be, because then you are trying to remember things of your first watch, and then you watch this movie again, trying to fill in gaps. So in that way, a rewatch of this movie would be very rewarding, and I'm looking forward to that rewarding experience in the future, which I feel like I will never have with Kaili Blues. I truly don't think I will ever rewatch that movie, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think It's the same for me. Like, but I think for both of them, I do sort of just prefer the bits that are edited, and then we're like, oh, here we go, it's the one
That's fair.
take. Because like some of the framing in both of those films, like especially in like this one with the mirrors in the beginning, and like I watched them back to back, so I might be like overlapping some of my memory now. See, it's can't be
Oh my
trusted.
god.
But
He's dreaming, guys. He's sleeping. He's sleepwalking through this review.
It's in Kaili Blues though, where he's on the train and the train sort of moves and he moves into frame. That's Kaili Blues. I'm 100% on that actually. But there's like a lot of like really nice shots in this, and I think in the first one, there's some pretty good like camera work being done, but in the second one, it really is like it's so smooth in how they go about it, like the tracking thing when they go like down that I don't even know what you call it, because it's not like a zip line. He doesn't go down fast. It's like a really slow zip line. So I don't know what you would call that. But like when they go both go down that, or when he spins the ping pong thing and it transitions into them flying, and it's like the POV. And I think at one point in Kaili Blues, it's also the POV becomes is of the kid. And I think those shifts like of where and how we look narratively are done really, really well. And it's sort of a through line that I think he knows how to do ambitious things and just go for it. And most of the time it actually ends up working out. But overall, like Resurrection, I think we didn't have a deep connection with the individual stories, but then there were certain moments in between that, like, for me, really grabbed me, that I found were like such visual analogies. And almost like in that interview as well for Criterion, he also said that like a lot of it can feel like poems too, that like there's an art form to that as well. And I feel like this is really, he's like doing or aspiring or trying to do visual poems in my opinion, in a lot of like his sequences. And yeah, was there anything like outstanding about the one take in Long Day's Journey into Night for you?
I was actually going through his 3 films in my head, and I feel like what he's doing to pull those wonders off is texture. In every single one, there is something with water. When in Long Day's Journey into Night, he's following the woman in that tunnel. Like at a certain moment, the camera is going through water, and it really becomes this visual poem, like you said. And then you have the wind wiper, and then it's going alongside the van. And in Kaili Blues, she's on the boat with the Resurrection. There's a lot of water in the Unbroken take as well, because it's raining and like everybody is not, it's dry, it's a bit dirty on New Year's Eve. So he really is and you can sense that he's the guy that watches to detail, and it doesn't really translate in the first film because in Kaili Blues, because of budgetary constraints. But in the second one, in Long Day's Journey into Night and the Resurrection, you feel that texture. I think that's what really nails it.
What's also even earlier in the sequences is often like a camera locks into a place, is moving, and then locks into a place, and then goes around its own axis. But the way that his scenes are lit is always possible to go fully around. And he literally does that when he goes above the festival and sort of like enables to give you like when he first goes down that zip line and then flies. It, like, I wrote down in my notes that it feels like that thing with where they were talking about Breath of the Wild, or maybe it was Skyrim even before, like if you can see it, you can go there sort of thing. And that's sort of what this feels like, and you're going there in real time. The question is just how intriguing is it to follow the whole thing? And there's like you can only do it for so long until you're like, okay, it feels a bit forced for stuff that needs to keep happening as well.
When they're in that house and he says like the spell to make the house spin, I was honestly, because that house is brightly lit from all sides, so I was doing my best to find the shadow of the camera. I'm not gonna lie, I was like, where the hell is it? It's gotta be somewhere here, but I never found it. That's a massive compliment to him.
I think this is also similar in the line of like I wouldn't be surprised if some people pine over this the same way that they do with Wong Kar-wai movies in this like sort of doomed love thing, and it's also something with the green dress in the real world and then the red jacket that she has in the dream sequence. It really is like visually very vibrant and outstanding for like the different characterizations. And I think that like green dress that she wears is really stunning the whole time through. I think just his behavior was like in both like parts of the movie, it was kind of creepy.
It's stalkery.
It's very stalkery. It's like, I don't know, man. It's like, oh my god, just leave her alone, please. And
I also think his dad must have hated him because it's like, oh, I'm giving the restaurant to her, and then it's like, I'm giving you the crappy van that is about like seconds away from breaking down. I'm giving it to you. It's like, surely there must be a vendetta there. Surely, man.
Yeah, you can't be happy about that. I think maybe this movie didn't need the crime subplot on top of anything else.
I mean, there's this weird thing within the movie version where you have this woman with the torch and this complaint with her husband, and it's like, I'm not fully sure what's that all about.
Yeah,
like, is that a future version of them? Is that his parents? That's the thing where things go a bit in the gray for me.
I legit had to skip back like 2-3 minutes because like, wait, did I miss something? It's like, what the fuck? What is happening? Why is he so invested in this right now? Is she a character that we got to see earlier? Because I thought that like it might be like a different version of her or like something like that. Because I also felt like when he's right before we go into the dream sort of thing in the one take, he like holds the gun up right behind the seat, and it pans sort of over, and it looks like it's just like two versions of him, or like very similar looking. At least that did to me, of like who he's about to shoot. So it felt like maybe I just
I think that's the mob boss, right?
Yeah, it is a different character, boss. But like to me it was like in that moment I was thinking, oh wait, it would be very interesting if he's like trying to destroy this version who's just watching his life. Like I was trying to look for the metaphors and allegories because it felt like a movie that is ripe with having all of those in there, and I didn't really find much to like actually hold on to. But that again, that might be a shortcoming of the two of us who like might not get something that he was going for. But
I mean, like we said in our Resurrection review, there's 100% stuff that goes over our head because there's also a lot of Chinese history in there. I don't think both of us have gotten much Chinese history in school, if any. So obviously that stuff will always go over our head. And the shot you were talking about when he goes like when the camera goes over the gun behind the head, I saw people in the background in the theater, so he's like actually standing straight with the gun, and like, is nobody like shushing him like, hey, please go down, sir? What are you doing?
different movie etiquettes or cinema etiquettes depending on country probably as well. Like I remember I was in film school with someone from Singapore in Australia, and I think she was also part Indian, and she was like on her phone the whole time, and we were like, why are you on your phone? It's like, oh, she doesn't like the movie. I was like, we can go out if you really don't like movies. No, she doesn't mind. She's just gonna be on her phone. And she's like pretty bright the whole time. I was like, what the fuck are you doing? And I was like, no, this is normal. This is normal behavior. And I don't know if like sometimes the way that you still talk during movies and like you behave might not be as frowned upon as it is in other places, but maybe she was also just inconsiderate. I don't know.
Yeah, that's crazy. Damn. Do you have much more to say about these movies?
Well, they both are like in Kaili, in that like region that Bijan is also from. So I was also trying to look up if maybe that third story in Resurrection with the monk is also supposed to be maybe in that area, and I don't think so that it is in that region. And there's not really anything that ties it to like a specific location in, I don't know, I guess it's not, especially the first part, maybe with some of the opium stuff might be somewhere where it's regionally would have been a hot spot, but I think he is doing two movies that are very much close to like where he comes from, and now I'm really interested to see where he branches out to, because I said maybe I thought that there might be a limitation to what we can expect from him. But I'm still very curious, especially if he fast tracks his next movie, like what he sort of envisions to do, and the sort of budgetary constraints that might not be really there for him. There might be like a lot of possibilities now that he's sort of moved up as well in the reception of his film, like in the quality, but also in the reception. And sometimes that goes the other way. Like I feel like with Ari Aster, it's like going on the other way. Like he had critical hits, and now he has the budget thing. He just does whatever, and then he goes back down. And I'd love to see if he's someone like Robert Eggers who can stay on that quality the whole time and sort of be very solid. I'm intrigued.
Can I ask you something? Did you go to the IMDb trivia for Long Days into Journey Night?
No. What does it say?
Please don't, because I want to tell you the first thing.
Okay.
So again, first excerpt. The marketing of the film was met with major controversy after its opening. The marketing of this art film was targeted massively towards the general public instead of art film lovers. The film opened on December 31st, 2018, since it was the last day of the year, and it was intended to be a good event to celebrate the new year. It was estimated that a lot of people went to see the film without knowing that this is an art house film. This resulted in major backlash as citizens complained against the film, as well as calling the ones who appreciated it Wenji, phony artistic. The film earned 38 million USD on the first day of opening, yet the box office of the second day was decreased by 96%.
I think then it might have been, okay, the one quote that I saw in a lot of articles that might have not missed that detail, and I missed that as well now, and thank you for spotting that. It's like they said it was one of the most successful Chinese art house movies, but it was on the false pretenses maybe because they marketed it differently. So a lot of people went to go see it, didn't have the intention of seeing it. And yeah, I don't know if that sours the opinion on Resurrection now. I don't know how well Resurrection did.
No.
In cinemas in China.
You're looking it up?
No, I'm not. You can do it.
It actually doesn't have the numbers.
They don't always give out the specific numbers.
Debuted grossing approximately 16.5 million.
Good.
The film surpassed major holdovers, including Demon Slayer, but that's probably not. I don't see any of the accumulative box office, but it had a decent opening at least. Yeah. And it was met with this critical appraise, and I think the critical appraise, especially if he is becoming more and more known worldwide, that can definitely take him to the new places that we talked about previously.
And I think there's a limitation of what his audience is with being so super artsy. Yeah. Like even at a festival like Gun, there were limitations to it. And obviously like how slow it was from Locarno, it did make sense to go to Gun next. And now is no other step up from competition in Gun. But what we've seen from the 2026 lineup is that like a lot of these filmmakers who've won the Palme d'Or before, who've gotten awards, who've been in competition, just sort of get back in. So I wouldn't be surprised if in 2 years' time, in 2027, right, we do get another film that plays in competition once again. Or I don't know if he goes into a different direction, because it feels like Resurrection is a movie that also needed a lot of work to be done those years to be in production. But
I can just imagine you can sense also his mapping of the one shot of the oneers evolving. You have the two towns, then you have the actual huge town, but he's playing with directionality in sense of going up and down, which we talk about with Asian movies a lot, like this philosophy of this space. Mm-hmm. And then obviously with Resurrection, it's an entire fucking city almost, including a harbor. And that's pretty impressive.
And he tries that out in Kaili Blues already, where there is the riding around the bike, and he goes down the sort of pathway. And it feels perfectly timed the way that they do it. It's really well done. And that's a tricky thing to place so late into a oneer, to sort of challenge yourself. It definitely was a challenge, and it feels like a step up. The question is just like, is a step up in like how difficult it is to get a shot worth it, or is that just pointing out how difficult the technology, the technical requirements, the timing, and all of it is, but maybe not resonating on like a story level? And that's sort of maybe what could hinder if he like ends up maybe going for like an all one take movie at some point, right?
I do wonder because there's also an evolution in terms of runtime. If his movie really only takes 2-3 years to make because you don't know when he was done with post-production of Resurrection. Is the runtime going to be shorter? Is he still going to be doing his unbroken shots? I'm quite curious what his next film is going to be. Because, again, the production of your movie is way shorter than Resurrections, which was 7+ years. And your MO is known for doing unbroken shots. But like you said, you preferred the edited part of Kaili Blues more. So what do you think? You want to make a prediction, perhaps?
Well, if he makes what his next movie is, if it's going to be like another similarish runtime.
Is it going to be shorter or longer? I probably think shorter. Is it going to have an unbroken shot or not?
I
like a oneer. I'm not talking long take, like a oneer.
Yeah, I think it's likely is going to be because it feels like that is what he sees a lot of quality in those moments, not just for the spectacle, but to deepen the themes of what he's going for. I wouldn't be surprised if he sort of maybe really shortens down the preamble and the setup of his things and is way more interested in just the prolonged space that is in the one shot. I could also see him go into different direction where he really is just doing long shots but not oneers. It's really hard to predict. I think it's going to be a shorter film, especially if it's even more on a long take. I could see him he went from 30-40 minutes to a almost 1 hour long one take. If he does even longer, 80 minutes, then maybe that's the whole movie.
Yeah, maybe I was thinking his next movie is gonna be sort of Utoya situation of just doing the whole film.
Victoria or something like that, yeah.
Yeah. Nonetheless, I'm very intrigued in what the guy next. I mean, if the trajectory keeps going, his next film is going to be 12 out of 10, a 6 out of 5. I mean, Jesus Christ. But yeah, that's all for me on my end.
Yeah, for me as well. And if you want to watch those films yourself and you haven't yet, then once again, you can stream them over on the Criterion channel, or you can get them physically like Kevin has. Do you have, how did you watch Kaili Blues? Did you watch it digitally then?
Yeah, I watched it digitally.
Watch it on definitely on my Criterion channel.
I watched.
Yeah, exactly. No other way. No other way of getting movies.
No.
Other way. Anyways, soon we are going to the Cannes Film Festival, and to prepare ourselves, we are in the next couple of episodes going to take a look at some films from filmmakers that are playing there. Yeah, in the next 4 episodes, we are going to look at 5 movies from different filmmakers that have new films premiering there. Next week, Kevin, Hope is premiering right at the Cannes Film Festival, and not next week, that movie is premiering, but we are talking about 2 films from that filmmaker. So tell us, which ones did you pick?
We are watching The Yellow Sea and The Chaser, very much like Bijan this week, because we have watched Resurrection and yet 2 other films. We have watched The Wailing. We were both very impressed with The Wailing. And then it's we're going to watch both of those movies anyways. Why not, very much like this episode, talk about them both in one episode? So we're watching The Yellow Sea and The Chaser up next.
Christian Montague, the Romanian filmmaker who made RMN, has the movie Fjord with Renate Reinsve and Sebastian Stan premiering in competition in Cannes, and there's a lot of excitement for that one being one of the contenders for the Palme d'Or. And we both haven't seen 4 months, 3 weeks, and 2 days. Yes, he owned it physically as well, and that's going to be our episode on the 5th of May that you can look forward to and hopefully watch along with us.
I'm actually a bit of a fan of Lisandro Alonso because I have watched Eureka, which is a very underwatched movie. I mean, how many people have you seen? 6.9K. All right, cool. That was very much one of those slow burn movies that I was very much on board with, and I don't think a lot of people are. But he has a movie coming out in Cannes, La Libertad Double, which is apparently a sequel. So if we're gonna watch a sequel, we need to watch the original. La Libertad from 2001 is our episode for the 12th of May.
Exactly, that's the kickoff date for the Cannes Film Festival, and that movie will be playing in the Director's Fortnight. And then finally, I got another film from a director who has a film in competition. His film Minotaur is the sort of last one that was announced. He's a Russian filmmaker who has won the Golden Lion actually in 2003 in Venice for his film The Return, but we won't be looking at that film, but his most popular film, Leviathan, which hopefully I'll be a fan of, a 2-hour and 20-minute long movie that I really know nothing about other than that the poster looks really intriguing, and I got no clue what I'm in store for, but that one comes out on the 19th of May.
I actually do own that one physically as well, but I have no idea where it is.
There is, a bit of a whole deal to find stuff. Yeah, let us know what we should be watching next. We'll also watch some other films in preparation for Cannes, very likely. But we thought, we might as well also review them together here, as we are gonna watch them regardless in preparation. And I think there's a lot of really interesting films in the lineup for the next couple of weeks for the 2 point we need after all of those movies we're gonna watching kind of at the 2.54 centimeter barrier. But yeah, thanks so much for watching, and we will see you next week.
Ciao.